Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I remember it so you don't have to. And I'm still continuing the month of Nostalgiaween! What the hell's wrong with me? So, seeing how this is the month where everything is supposed to be scary, let's take a look at scary performances. We all know the traditional monsters and how iconic they've become, but a new breed of monsters has been evolving over the years. They constantly battle between what's human and what's inhuman, and usually the more removed they are from an ethical reality, the more frightening they become. Now keep in mind, I know a good performance isn't just a good performance. A lot of things go into it, like the writing, directing, music, lighting, all that good stuff. But still, these are the characters and performances where just thinking about them can send shivers down our spines. And we're here to honor the top 11 of them here today. Why top 11? Number 11. Bill Sikes from Oliver. This guy is just a bastard. He does it all. Kidnaps kids, steals from the wealthy, and even beats his own girlfriend, one of the main characters in the film, to death. What a fucked up creep!
She won't beat on nobody no more.
And every time you look at him, you know he's ready to strike again. He doesn't care who gets in his way. If you say something wrong, your ass is going down.
You hand it over, you avaricious old skeleton.
Even with that thick Cockney accent, he still scares the living piss out of you.
Have you ever heard the sound a chicken makes when they're a-ringing off its nest? They squawks, Fagin. They squawks. Not a very pretty sound.
Hell, he can even make the act of calling his dog seem intimidating.
You ain't afraid of me, are you, Bullseye? Bullseye, you come here. Come here, Bullseye!
You can just tell actor Oliver Reed was throwing everything into it. And because of that, we get one hell of a creepy thug. Bill Sikes is definitely one baddie who will do anything to get his way.
I'm glad.
Number 10. The T-1000 from Terminator 2. I know a lot of people found Arnold to be pretty scary in the first Terminator, but let's be honest, it's still Arnold. He looks like a giant robot, talks like a giant robot, so it's pretty easy to guess that he's a giant robot, as well as easy to spot in a crowd. With Robert Patrick, though, he looks like any other person, and can even act like an everyday guy, blending into the crowd with nobody suspecting him.
I think he said he was going to the Galleria, right?
The Galleria?
But when he needs to kill, good God, nothing can stop him. He can turn into knives, he can turn into other people, he can imitate their voices, and plus, he's a cop! As if to say, even the fucking police are after you, kid. You don't have a prayer.
Call to John. Call John.
On top of that, he's chasing a child in this one, which seems much more vulnerable than chasing a grown woman. Granted, he's a strong kid, but he's still a kid. And this is as basic a boogeyman as you can come up with. You can't reason with him, you can't hurt him, and all he wants to do is kill you. If that's not scary as fuck, I don't know what is.
Say, that's a nice bike.
Number 9. Annie Wilkes from Misery. The role that won Kathy Bates an Oscar, this psychotic bitch is 32 flavors of crazy. She helps save the life of her favorite author in the world and then goes crazy when she finds out he's killing off her favorite character.
I don't want her, bitch! I want her! And you murdered her!
She straps him to a bed, breaks both of his legs, and forces him to write a sequel to the book, where Misery is brought back.
God, I love you.
If that wasn't freaky enough, she constantly swings back and forth between sensitive and kind.
You've got a lot of recovering to do. And I consider it an honor that you'll do it in my home.
Straight to...
You murdered my Misery!
Oh, that! Actually, for me, the screaming and yelling parts always seem a bit over the top. It's when she was nice and pleasant that really got me on edge. But maybe that's because I know that anything could set her off.
Oh, Paul. What a poet you are.
Aw, well isn't she just the nicest...
I'm gonna kill you, you light cocksucker!
I think this is every celebrity's worst nightmare, to be in the hands of an obsessive fan who's not mentally well. I mean, poor James Caan. Shut up! Has a lot to deal with in this movie. But hey, look at the bright side. At least you weren't casting About Schmidt. Ooh. No doubt about it, Annie Wilkes is one nutty lady that nobody should have to wake up to.
He didn't get out of the cock-a-doodle car!
Number 8. Hannibal Lecter. Now, I'm just going to be very honest about this. I never really found Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs that scary. I actually thought Buffalo Bill was a lot scarier because he actually seemed like a real-life serial killer. For me, Hannibal Lecter was more like a James Bond villain. He had all the poetic lines, keeping his head down with an evil smile. All I was missing was a cat for him to stroke. I wouldn't really mind, except that the rest of the movie is so bent on being brutally realistic, and for me, this kind of seems out of place.
You fly back to school now, little Starling. Fly.
Come on, that's pretty silly. Now granted, the first time you see him is pretty damn creepy. Just how he's standing in the middle of the room like he can smell her coming down the hallway, that's unsettling. But there's just a hamminess to this performance that always sort of rubbed me the wrong way. You're funny. So yeah, I've bashed him so much, you're probably wondering why the hell did I even put him on this list? Well, to be honest, I thought he was scary in Red Dragon. Yeah, I know he's like a bajillion years old and that's really distracting, but in this movie, I find him more scary because he actually wants to get Edward Norton and figures out ways from inside his cell to try and hurt him. That's freaky as hell. You can lock him up and he can still get you. In Silence of the Lambs, I knew he wasn't going to attack Jodie Foster. In fact, she even mentions it at some point.
He won't come after me.
Oh, really?
He won't. I can't explain it. He would consider that rude.
But in Red Dragon, he fucking hates this guy. And even behind a glass wall, he can still find a way to attack both him and his family. That's diabolical. It's like there's no way to stop it.
The roof can fall on anybody.
But not on Molly and Josh, I take it.
They're safe now.
No one will ever be safe around you, Will.
I also like the fact that it's much more a challenge of wits. In Silence of the Lambs, Foster just sort of looks at Lecter's antics with frightened awe. In Red Dragon, Norton doesn't take any of that shit.
Do you dream much, Will?
Goodbye, Dr. Lecter.
Give me the file, then, and I'll tell you what I think.
This makes their relationship more interesting to me, and just builds up the tension between the two. It makes the hero more interesting and the villain more angry, which in turn makes him more threatening. Now I will say though, a lot of people argue that it's much more threatening when an evil person loves you as opposed to hates you. And to be honest, I can see how that would be pretty scary too. So in this category, I'm saying Hannibal Lecter from both The Silence of the Lambs and Red Dragon are on the list. And for those of you wondering why I didn't put Hannibal on there, Hannibal with the brain and the spoon. That was stupid. And anybody who likes it is stupid too. I know it's just my opinion, but I'm right.
And a nice Chianti.
Number 7. Alex from A Clockwork Orange. It's hard to believe that not only is this crazy teen supposed to only be in high school, but we're also supposed to, oddly enough, identify with him. After all, what's not identifiable about murder, rape, beatings, breaking and entering, and being a complete psychotic nutball?
What does that great big horsey gape of a grin portend?
The kid is a sadist, plain and simple. He's not in it for the money or any kind of physical reward, for the most part. He's in it because he simply loves to do wrong, and sees almost an artistic life to it all.
Oh, bliss. Bliss and heaven. Oh, it was gorgeousness and gorgeosity made flesh.
He's a savage beast, but he listens to Beethoven. He feeds on the innocent, but is still intelligent and well-spoken. We've seen smart villains before, but what really separates him from other villains is two things. One is his age. The idea that a person this young would be doing so many terrible things is pretty disturbing. The second is just how much he enjoys it. The smile on his face is just pure delight. He is in heaven. There is no remorse in what he is doing. For him, causing people pain is like reaching nirvana. Nirvana on a roller coaster. He simply loves every minute of it, to a point where he actually hums Singing in the Rain while raping an older woman. This scene is so traumatizing that there's still people out there who can't listen to that musical.
I'm singing in the rain,
One of the most controversial characters in both film and literature, Alex is one of the scariest schoolchildren you'll ever come across.
I've taught you much, my little droogies.
Number 6. Norman Bates from Psycho. Yet another character who just sort of keeps you guessing and guessing. You can't figure out if he's a good guy, a bad guy, an innocent pawn, or an evil plotter. All you know is that he's horribly obsessed with his mother, and the less you know about that, the better.
Did you go out with friends?
Well, a boy's best friend is his mother.
Every time you see him, you get nervous. You can't tell if he's just a poor soul or a time bomb waiting to go off.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
His twitching and sudden mood swings keeps the character a complete mystery until the very end. And without actually giving away the twist ending, let's just say every movie nowadays that does have a twist ending owes everything to this film.
You understand? I don't hate her. I hate what she's become.
If you haven't seen the movie yet, check it out and see how influential both the film and his performance was. And speaking of influences, where do you think Alex got his smile from?
But she's harmless. She's as harmless as one of those stuffed birds.
Oh, and if you're thinking about seeing the shot-by-shot remake, I have only one thing to say to you. Vince Vaughn as Norman Bates.